Good afternoon, viewers and subscribers. I've got a box here that I feel necessary to open on camera. Now, I don't do this with every box, but this one is rather special in my mind. And if you look here, it's from Miller RC Products. And before I open it, I'm going to tell a little bit of a story around this. Now, many of you know that follow my channel know that I've really been getting into the 1/2A engines and the diesels, the small diesels. And those of you that are also familiar know that I've had some back issues. Those back issues make it very difficult for me to do a lot of hand starting, which unfortunately I've been doing a lot of lately anyway, and I'm paying the price for it. So I started looking online to see if anybody even still sold 1/2A electric starters, and I wasn't coming up with a whole lot. I stumbled across Miller RC Products, this web page, and you know, with a lot of web pages nowadays, you find a web page and they show stuff, but they may not necessarily really still be a viable company. So this website did not have an email, contact me via email, but it did have a phone number. And the owner of Miller RC Products is Hap Miller, and his wife Nancy run this. So I had a phone number, and I figured, well, you know, just to validate whether this is still a valid company or not, I'm going to call. And this was probably 3 days ago, earlier in the week. I called, a man answered, and I asked if it was Hap, and he said yes, it was. So I began speaking with him, and this is where the story takes an unsettling turn. I asked him if his website was still, you know, viable, and he still had this company, and his tone kind of changed, and he said, not really. And the reason is because this is from Kenwood, California. He lives in Kenwood, California. And those in the United States are probably familiar with this, but last fall, Northern California was hit by a lot of wildfires and destroyed a lot of land, property, etc. Unfortunately, it actually destroyed Ken's business, or Hap's business. So I was talking to him, and he was telling me the story about, and it really was kind of bringing a tear to my eye, because he was telling me how his house survived, but his 3 outbuildings where his manufacturing and you know, company were completely destroyed, completely leveled by these wildfires. He said he had machine shop and all kinds of stuff. All the inventory, everything is gone. And he said that he and his wife had Harley motorcycles in one of the warehouses, and they fell over onto each other. And he said by the time the fire was done, it was burning so intense that the pistons were exposed in the engine, and the engine metal casings were melted together. That's how hot this fire was that ravaged this area of the country. Unfortunately, as I was talking to Hap, he informed me that his wife was still in the hospital. And I believe she's in the hospital due to maybe injuries sustained in this fire, but I'm not entirely sure. I didn't really ask. But we had a very, very nice conversation. We talked about engines and airplanes and the good old days. And I asked him, I said, well, do you happen to have any more of these 1/2A starters? Because I'm looking for one. And he said, you know what? I might actually still have one of these things. So he put the phone down for a minute, and he came back, and he said, you know what? I do have one of these starters left. And I said, well, you know, Hap, that's just incredible. I said, I would love to have this starter. I said, because I explained my back condition and how I've been trying to start these small engines. And he said, well, tell you what, give me your address, and I'll put it in the box, and I'll mail it to you, and you just send me a check. I said, well, do you take PayPal? And he said, well, my wife, she's in the hospital. She was a secretary and basically did all the computer work. So he doesn't really have a way to do that. So I said, fine, you know, send it to me. I'll get a check right out to you, which I have not done yet. But I'm going to get a check in the mail tomorrow for this product. So that's the story. So the story is that I probably have just purchased or received the very last Miller RC 1/2A electric starter that there is in the world. To me, that's pretty darn cool. So here's this note and a label that I can use to ship my check to. So I've got a check here, or I've got an invoice here for what I need to send to him, and I'm going to get that in the mail. So here is the starter and some inserts that he's included. Wow, I got 3 inserts. Very nice. So again, this is probably the very last, I know it is, because I validated this from HAP, the very last Miller RC Products half-A electric starter in the world. So, I am quite honored to have this, and HAP, I'm pretty sure you're probably not watching this, but if you do stumble across this video, I want to say thank you very much for talking to me, taking the time to speak to me, and sending this to me so expeditiously. And in the same manner, I'm going to get a check to you, and I'm going to get that mailed to you tomorrow. So that is the story behind this, and hopefully this will relieve a lot of the issues I've been having trying to get some of these smaller engines started and preserve what's left of my back. So thank you all for watching.